historically with these guys.
You didn't want to.
This is the NFC. I reminded them this is the NFC show, so we don't have to go in there and make it about the Jets, make it about the Chargers. I'm not going to try to make it about the Bills. But, I'm expecting it to happen, but I was just warning them in advance that, we're talking about
keep it short too.
The
we don't want a
inferior
long
conference right now.
People love a long show, Tim. You know this.
We can keep it to a tight 2 hours, can't we?
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience presented by Underdog Fantasy. We are back. You may have missed the show, but hey, absence makes the heart grow fonder. We're here for 26 weeks in a row, so you'll be sick of us by the end of it. The 2024 NFC Win Total Show with Geoff and another guest who will introduce here in a second. You can go to your favorite team in the description by the time codes and see what we have to say about them, or find all the results in the Mayo Media newsletter, completely free to join, down in the description right now. Additionally, down there, if you use code MAYO at Underdog Fantasy, you can get a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. So go do that. Additionally, on top of that, we have a season-long props pick'em pool on Underdog Fantasy, the PME League. So you can go pre-register for that right now. We'll have more details within the next 2 weeks by the time the season starts. Geoff Fienberg, we're dipping our toe in the water. It's finally here.
Yeah, I'm excited. Opinions, we'll see. But obviously, I'm excited for golf to be done and for football to be here.
Well, let's bring him in. If people have missed it over the summer, he once again won the most insane person award. It is Tim Cust.
Tim Cust.
That is not my name.
You did win.
With a minority of the vote, I should note, 44%, meaning 56% of voters, the majority, a clear majority, did not think that I should win that award.
I see. I like how you changed that up. So, yes, you are correct on that. You were saying that the majority of people thought that you were sane, which is not what that poll showed.
I still contend that a vote not cast for me is a vote for my sanity. But, we'll disagree about that. But we're not really dipping our toe into the water. We're sort of jumping in. This is like the first jump.
Yeah, listen.
We're plunging in.
I suppose you're right. When I go to the pool, I don't like to slowly get in. I just like to cannonball in the middle, and then I'm in.
Yeah. I do the same thing. It's like Rodney Dangerfield. Remember that movie Back to School? He didn't go part-time. He went completely. That's what we're doing. We're going back.
All right. Well, I do encourage everyone to sign up for that Pick'em League on Underdog if you don't have the Underdog account. Once again, it is code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy. And Geoff, $1,000 bonus. I think you have to deposit $2,000 to get the $1,000. But hey, free $1,000. Who's saying no to that?
Yeah. If I was in a Underdog free land, I would definitely be taking my free $1,000.
Yeah, you got to be in those pick'em states if you want to play in the pool, but there will be listen, you just have to play the pick'em slips every single week. I think it's going to be 10 picks that you have to make, and then whoever has the best percentage of prop wins at the end will get some sort of super bonus, and be top 10, top 20 all get paid out with not having to put in any extra money. It's just something on the side that you do. So for free money, if you're playing anyway, go join it right now in the description. Let's go. NFC West is where we're starting. And we're starting with the Super Bowl losers, the San Francisco 49ers, 11.5 is their win total. The over is actually juiced to plus money, Geoff, at plus 105. They're one of the few teams in the NFC where you would get money, even more money back, betting on the over. Everyone is juiced to the over, except for the 49ers. 11.5 is a lot of wins, though.
It is a lot of wins, and I actually think the division will be quite strong, as it seems to, as teams that sometimes you expect to regress or be worse than they should be weren't. The Rams and the Cardinals were both better, maybe significantly better in some respects than a lot of people thought they would be. I'm still taking the over and would have a hard... I really don't see them not being in the NFC title game. And I know they got some issues now, the Ayuk, the Trent Williams, but by the time we're in December, I think they'll be exactly where they need to be. I'm over 11.5 for them.
Where do you stand on the Niners? Because sometimes, Tim, we play the Super Bowl losers. They have a terrible season, but it just seems like not even everything went right for them last year. Like, they dealt with injuries all season long, and they still just managed to keep going. The only thing that derailed them at all was what was a Custy nominee when you said that they were going to go undefeated, then they lost 3 in a row.
Well, I'm not going to acknowledge that point. But I really, really wanted, as I started my research, to play an under for the 49ers, because I just don't have a whole lot of. I still have huge question marks about the quarterback, like big question marks about the quarterback. Their best receiver is holding out. McCaffrey's got an injury. They seem like a perfect candidate for regression. But then I looked at the division. I was like, Cardinals are trash. The Rams will get to. I expect a big regression from them. And as much as I want to take the Seahawks, I can't get them over the hump. So you tell me it's plus money for them to win 12 games. I say it's there. So I would take San Francisco at 12-5 and over.
So an over. Did you say over or under, Geoff?
I said over, and this is important because Tim's picking them to go 12-5, essentially, but that's really like picking them to go 12-4 because they played the Jets week 1, and I haven't made any week 1 wagers, but I was actually looking at week 1 lines. I actually do like the Jets at the +6 week 1. I think the Niners could lose that game. It wouldn't change my opinion of any of it, but I'm expecting week 1 to go Tim's way.
Well, maybe when I said dipping the toe in the water, I kind of meant that the AFC show that we do, which will come out in 1 week from now, is sort of the main event. Like, that's the cold plunge, Tim, with the Jets. But I do think that the Jets theoretically should be at their best in week 1 when they're completely healthy.
One would hope.
We'll see how long that lasts. Although I just got a text from you. I just looked at it right now. You're bragging about how Aaron Rodgers has a 30-year-old arm. I am just reporting other people's reporting. There's cause for optimism. I promised Paul we wouldn't go down this road today, and I'm going to stick to my promise. We're not going down this road. Paul, can you do me a favor? Because since this is the first show of the year, obviously I didn't plan for everything. Or maybe Jared, who's also helping produce the show, can do it. I don't have the coin in front of me. It's over there. Forgot that.
What a shame.
Forgot that.
How could we go on without that?
Look, the coin is it's the 4th member of the show. If the coin was on the most insane ballot, Tim, maybe the coin would win.
I don't know if Jared knows what the coin is, but
I mean, I don't see it. It's usually over here somewhere.
it is Tim's biggest rival.
Yeah,
in this
I
studio.
mean, Tim's all-time biggest rival. No, I think it's on the shelf over here, Jared. Anyway, I'll get to my...
Tim probably took it.
Yes, Tim stole it?
Yeah.
I'm like that guy who played Kramer on The Pilot, stole that box of raisins.
I guess my question with the 49ers with you, Tim, is what about Brock Purdy are you not sold on at this point? This is year 3. He's been good both the years. Whether you dropped him into another team, would he be good? This I do not know. But he's on this team where we know that he is good.
He's been all right. That's true.
No, he hasn't been all right. He has been legitimately good.
I don't trust him. I think I don't want to be like Cam and say like that there were like 20 quarterbacks better than him and then not be able to list off 8. But like he would be like the 20th best quarterback in the NFL to me. So that means I have a lot of trouble assuming that team can get to 12 wins. I just don't see it skill-wise. I think that San Francisco is covering up a lot of his deficiencies with fantastic play at the skill position. And see if that can continue. I don't know.
But for this moment right now, like until he's a $50 million quarterback, he's great.
Well,
He's
they don't have any other choices. But he's not that good. He's
Uh,
all right. He's all right.
He's been asked to make a lot of big throws, and he seems to make them, to
Except
be
to the
honest.
Super Bowl.
Okay, not every big throw, but he seems to answer the bell.
Look,
Sometimes he's not in great spots.
We're
and
in violent agreement here. We're taking the over. We're on the over on San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, the coach is the best. The coach is fantastic.
Again, until it gets into big games, and then he also doesn't know what he's doing, and then chooses to take the ball in overtime because he doesn't know the rules.
But at least they brought in a key assistant in Brandon Staley, so that should help them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that will be a very big help.
Well, Paul is still locating the coins. We have a substitute coin, and the coin is selected the over for the 49ers. I'm going over too. Like, I believe in Purdy. I believe in Shanahan, at least as a regular season coach, as you mentioned. I'm not going to pick them to win the Super Bowl, but they're going to be very much in the mix.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the Rams, who are at 8.5 wins this year, coming off a great season. Cust, you and I were on that. That was nice. But they are juiced to the over bigly, minus 160 to bet the over of 8.5 wins. I thought it would open at 9.5, but this is really where I see them, like 8-9, 9-8. And if that's going to be the case, I'm going to take the under.
I think we got kind of lucky last year. Well, we shouldn't say that. We can get lucky. We got a 95th percentile outcome last year from the Rams. Outside of Cup having some problems, that team was about as healthy as they were going to get and performed, I think, about as well as they could perform. And so, given how thin they are in terms of having no depth on the team, we got about as good an outcome as we could get. And I don't want to tempt fate twice. I think this team is like, and that, again, who's playing defense on this team? This team does not have a very good defense. It has lost Aaron Donald. It's going to have problems. I think 7 wins is the likelier outcome. I'm going to take the under on the Rams.
Who did they bring? Because Stafford got hurt for 4 games last year as well in the middle of the season. So it's not like
It's
they ran.
Jimmy G. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I don't think they had Jimmy G.
No, it was some loser that the Cowboys beat by like 50 points.
Well,
I apologize.
Stafford got hurt in the Cowboys game, as I remember.
Yeah, and then whoever came anyway.
Brett Rippon was the guy who came in.
Yeah, sure.
And they were
But do you
thought you
not
were
agree
asking
with
who
my
the backup
position that
was.
we basically got a 95th percentile outcome from the Rams last year?
I don't know if we got a 95th, but like Puka was much better than anyone expected he would be. Kupp got hurt to make that fill in. Kyron got hurt midway through the season. They were using Royce Freeman at running back. Like, they could have had more wins last year.
Maybe. Not many more, though. I think that's about where they should have been. A team that was in the wild card, and they lost a wild card game by 1 point. Like, they had every chance to win that game against the Lions.
They did, and they actually did quite well in the Brett Rippon games. Like, they had they went 3-1 or something like that while Stafford was out. So yeah, I'm just kind of with you. I think this division is a little bit stronger. Like, I think the Cardinals are slightly better than they were the Seahawks. I don't get why the Rams are a full win over the Seahawks. These teams seem very similar to me.
Geno Smith would be the reason.
If Matthew Stafford stays healthy, they clear this number. And I don't think I don't have much like doubt in making that. There's probably a lot of teams who would say in the NFC, if their quarterback stays healthy, they're probably going to go to the postseason. I'm inclined to take the over. They've done such an incredible job at like just Les Snead and his team hitting those mid-round picks, which maybe Tim could say, like, part of the ceiling last year, Kyrion Williams, and the name escapes me, the kid who was like in the defensive rookie of the year running. Like, they've done such a good job. And this year, they started the draft with a couple nice defensive players. I know it was Fisk from Florida State and Verse from Florida State. I like what they did. So I like this team. And I don't know, I trust Sean, the coach and the quarterback. Like, in that conference, I'll still say they go to the playoffs. I hate the juice. The juice factor of this number stings. But at the end, when we're going to add up like right or wrong, I'm going to get the check mark for being right. And if I'm wrong, I don't know that you're counting the juice. But I'd be afraid to bet it. But I'm saying they're going over. They're a playoff team.
Well,
But you're also just enamored with the rampede quality of the team. Let's be honest, right, Geoff?
No, I've actually taken real shots, and I think this was like a team that was, so star heavy, and they just shown in that era they won the Super Bowl, and losing Donald is a big deal. If they had Aaron Donald, I might even be talking them up higher in a certain extent. But I really like what they did. They finally had like first and second round draft picks. I don't mind this team one bit. I just trust the coach and the quarterback. They did lose Raheem Morris, who's been such a good defensive coordinator. Like, he really is outstanding in that role. So we'll see how that change goes. But Stafford's healthy. They're a 10-win team.
Well, you're the only one on the over because the coin and I are both going under on the 8.5 for the Rams, which should lead us into probably the opposite picks for everyone with Seattle at 7.5. New coaching staff. Pete Carroll is gone. Tim, Pete Carroll is teaching a class at USC now.
Is he? Is it on how to get out of town before the authorities catch you for cheating or whatever happened at USC? What's he teaching?
What?
He got out of USC before the suspensions were handed down for the.
Whatever. That's like any great college coach does that.
What? Who else can you think of off the top of your head?
Jim
Who
Harbaugh?
ran
Right
to the
now?
ran to the NFL while the authorities were going to come down on them.
Yeah, I don't know. He answered the bell. He came into the league. It worked. I don't know. I just remember he was like, he was like dating a student, maybe. I don't know. That's what he was getting in trouble. Not Harbaugh. Talking about Pete Carroll.
I thought Carroll was going to get, and I could be completely wrong. I thought Carroll was going to get in trouble for some of the recruiting stuff, or
Whatever. So
way that
Reggie Bush
got paid or
finally got
whatever.
his Heisman back. Now that the rules have changed, I don't think like historically we'll look back on that stuff as like bad because now all that stuff is happening legally in some respects.
He's playing to win.
I'm a Mike McDonald fan, I will say. I thought it was the best coaching hire in the NFL last offseason. And so that's why I'm so high on the Seahawks for this year. Because there's lots of reasons to not be high on the Seahawks. And the chief amongst them is the quarterback, who there are huge questions about. But I watched, with, I think, equal talent in Baltimore on defense, McDonald do a fantastic job resuscitating a player like Jadeveon Clowney, like really had a special, seems like a special touch when it came to getting that defense so sharp in Baltimore. And coming to Seattle, I think he was a good hire. I think that defense is going to play fantastically. Can Geno just play adequately? And if he can, this team's going to win 10 games. This is a wild card team, in my opinion. If they had a better quarterback, I think they could easily vie for the division. But given that, I think 10-7, and I would take the over.
Oh,
I like the over on the Seahawks too. I do think that they're a fringe wild card team, if nothing else. They're plus 180 to make the playoffs right now, so that's probably a pretty good bet. If that's almost 2-1, if I had them around 50-50, that seems pretty good to me in terms of juicing them up. I'm kind of with Tim. I like Mike McDonald. Do you worry that he's only 36 years old, Tim?
I would have said that, but I mean, how young was McVay when he was hired? He was not much. He was younger, if anything. So it can work. Age really is a number. That's terribly cliche, but it is just a number. Question is, can you coach? Can you blow the whistle? Do you know what you're doing? Raheem Morris was in his 30s when he got hired for the first time. Couldn't handle it. But McVay can. So I don't think you can go one way or the other.
So what do you make of this? Do you like the under, Geoff?
I really like McDonald, but I also for the year like the under. I don't think they're going to be drafting in the top 5, anything like that, top 8, but they lost a lot of players. They lost, I know Tim thinks he sucks, but they lost both of their safeties. They lost Bobby Wagner. There's a lot of turnover. They were the worst team against the run, I think, in the league last year, or at least certainly one of them. There's a lot of work to do there. I don't really care much for Geno Smith. Probably overachieved 2 years ago. They'll get it right. But they're going to be an under team for me.
All right, so you're going under. The coin is going under. Tim and I are both going over on the Seahawks of 7.5. The Cardinals are up at 6.5. This one, once again, juiced to minus 150 to the over. They're 3-1 to make the playoffs, though. Do you think, Geoff, that they are a team that wildly overachieved expectations and were not such a bottom feeder last year like they were expected to be, that we're just projecting all this like, oh my God, they're going to be so much better this year, where maybe what we saw last year is actually just who they are?
Yeah. I mean, I was really impressed. I really liked the coach there, Gannon. I thought Kyler Murray returning looked a lot better than maybe our expectations. So, I mean, between the team and probably like a lot of people, and beating Dallas week 3, like custing a lot of eliminators, like out of the gate. Like Dallas Didn't Dallas first 2 weeks win by like a combined like 50 points, maybe more? And then Arizona beat them week 3. Yeah, clearly I remember that. But they played tough. They played great. I like a lot of the playmakers. I'm just I still think that they're going to go under this number. I'm not quite there yet, but I want to draft McBride as my tight end in fantasy.
How come?
That I know. I really like him. I had him last year at the end. I thought he was awesome, sneaky good, and I'll kind of just let some of those top guys go. McBride, he's going to be huge this year.
Well,
that's sort of my main thought, at least from a fantasy perspective on Arizona. Kyler's healthy. They'll be fine. They have talent. Their defense still sucks. They're going to lose. Like, I don't think they're going 7-10, so I'm on the under.
I'm on the under here too, Tim. It seems like you hate them a lot more than me. I could see them getting to the over, but there's only so many wins to go around in this division. And
I was going to say, so I'm looking at their schedule. We got to get them to 7 wins. Well, like week 1 at Buffalo, no. The Rams week 2, probably not. Lions week 3, no. Commanders, maybe. 49ers, Packers, Chargers, Dolphins is not hard. Bills, Jets, Seahawks, Vikings, Seahawks.
It's a hard schedule.
Patriots, Rams, 49ers. That's the schedule. You're going to get 7 of those 17 games as wins? Geez Louise, I think 5 is a good number to carve out of there, not 7. So, yeah, extremely tough schedule for Arizona. I've got to play the under. And I like Kyler, too. Like, I think Kyler, at his best, might actually be better than Stafford right now. It might be the best quarterback in the division. But it doesn't matter. I'm going to play the under.
It's a round of unders, except for the coin. The coin believes in Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals going over. I just feel like if you were going to bet the over, that, I mean, I guess 7-10 is is firmly within like the bell curve of what they do for the season. But it feels like if they get to the over, Geoff, that they're going to be really good.
Okay.
Like they would be 10 and, they would be 10-7 or 11-6, something like that. Not 7-10.
Yes, I would. Sadly, I've seen a lot of people complaining that the alternate win totals don't pay like they used to, which kind of sucks. Last year, that 4.5 that I got in on early, I was so heavy on, and Matt Prater missed a kick. It was the last kick of the season. I actually wanted to lose my money. I wanted him to make that kick so the Chargers would have had 4th overall and probably Marvin Harrison Jr. But that was such a sweat all year long. Those Cardinals under win totals.
You're not worried with McBride that they have Marvin Harrison Jr. now?
I mean, sure, they got to pay more attention. He's a space eater. You still need other options. So I don't know. That doesn't concern me. And as like a red zone threat, like the offense getting better, doesn't concern me for McBride's upside.
Okay.
I think you need that.
Where are we going with division winner? I'm just going to lock in San Francisco. It's not going to be a whole lot of fun, Tim.
Yeah. I hate it. I'm the same way. Yuck.
Geoff?
I'd be shocked if anyone took them out. So low hanging fruit. What are the actual odds? Do we have that?
On San Francisco to win the division, -195.
Bet them in week 2 after they're 0-1.
What if San Francisco stomps a mud hole in the Jets here week 1, Tim?
Gonna have a very unpleasant person on the week 2 spread pick show.
There we are.
A lot of it'll be a airing of grievances. That's for sure.
Yeah, but as long as you get through the game healthy, even getting your ass kicked, that would have to be an upgrade.
No, I want the win. Okay? If it's a close loss, I can regroup. But if it's a rout, no, I'm sorry. I will have a lot of grievances.
I know it means nothing to you, but like looking back at last year, the Jets winning that week 1 game is one of the wins of the season.
It is the win that I have enjoyed most as a Jets fan in the last 7, 8, 9 years. It was just a pure joy win. the happiness of that. Like, it still makes me. I've watched.
How could
the
it be
highlights.
pure joy? It was overshadowed by like
No, because of because of everything that came from it. Like I've rewatched the highlights of that game 8 times, 9 times already this offseason, just because it makes me so happy. It was such a great outcome.
So you watch the highlights of Rodgers going down on the fourth play.
I can't. I've seen it 500 times already. So what's 502, Jeff?
Yeah, but I don't. I wouldn't want to rewatch.
No, I don't want to talk anymore about it because I promised Paul that I wouldn't.
Sorry.
So we're all taking San Francisco to win the division. Paul, when did you make him promise this?
I went in because of like historically with these guys.
You didn't want to make...
This is the NFC. I reminded them this is the NFC show, so we don't have to go in there and make it about the Jets, make it about the Chargers. I'm not going to try to make it about the Bills. But like I'm expecting it to happen, but I was just warning them in advance that like we're talking
we want to
about
keep it short too.
The
We don't want a
inferior
long show.
conference right now.
People love a long show, Tim. You know this.
We can keep it to a tight 2 hours, can't we?
Well, we'll try. I mean, that's the goal for this, but we'll see. NFC East. Philly is up first. They are the division favorites at minus 120. So not as big as I actually would have expected them to be. 10.5 is their win total. The over is juiced up to minus 130 right now. They're minus 250 to make the playoffs. 6-1 to win the NFC. 15-1 to win the Super Bowl. We talked about everything going so right for the Rams last season, Tim. It really felt like the second half of the season for the Eagles went completely wrong, and they were still really good. I love this over.
I mean, it doesn't seem like everything went wrong. Everything went wrong. The bottom fell out of that team completely. I've never seen it. Honestly, I've never seen anything quite like it. A team that was, primed to be the number 1 seed in the conference. I think they were amongst one of the last undefeated teams, playing fantastic football, and then they just started playing like the 1996 Bears or something. They were terrible. I'd never seen that before. I'm with you. I kind of like Philadelphia a lot this season. The biggest concern I have is with the exchange at center now. Are we going to see them shy away from the play that was just about unstoppable, namely that push? I think Kelsey played a fantastically huge role in the success of that play. And I wonder whether a new center will be able to execute it in quite the same way. And if there's some struggles with it early, will they run away from it? I don't know. But I look at the division, and I just don't see any other teams that are even playoff caliber, in my opinion, going into this year. So I really do like Philadelphia. I think the Niners are probably going to have the week off in week 1 in the playoffs because I think they're in a soft division with a lot of winnable games. I really like Philadelphia here. Over for sure.
Coin is going over as well, Jeff. I think the tush-push play will be fine. And you have Saquon in the backfield now, which is a huge upgrade for them. I just look at actually what Arizona was able to do with the tush-push that basically got no coverage last year, that they ran it almost or even more effectively than Philadelphia did. That I don't know if it's necessarily just a Kelsey thing. I think it's a design thing. And obviously Gannon came from Philadelphia where they were running this already, that maybe it's just an inside secret.
I have no concerns about the tush push. Of all things in Philadelphia that I have no concerns about, it would be that play. I've bet Philadelphia to win the Super Bowl. So
reasonable.
we'll put that out there. Sort of a lot of the things that you guys said are things that I believe. Probably like 10 days after I bet them to win the Super Bowl, that expose came out about all the infighting kind of last year and the lack of communication between a lot of key members on that team. That's kind of seems like the only thing that can hold them back. I love bringing in Vic Fangio. I love they drafted the corner from Toledo, which I thought would have gone way earlier. They signed Gardner Johnson to make up for that shit secondary last year. With Vic Fangio coming in, I think they'll have it fixed. I'm in. Again, I'm a little afraid because I didn't know when I made the bet that it seems like coach and quarterback might not be on the same page. That is concerning, but Oh, I love this team. I think Saquon's going to be amazing. So yeah, I'm buying the hype on the Eagles.
How you feeling about Kellen Moore being their OC?
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Kellen Moore couldn't get our running game off the ground last year. Like, we might have been the second worst running team in football, which sucks. But they've got such good run culture that I believe he'll be able to he'll be able to do what he needs to do and just rely on their ability and the culture in Philadelphia that solves that running game. I like Kellen Moore. I don't think I was blaming him much for last year. It was just a shit show. But I do like Kellen Moore there.
Tim, do you know what the Bears' record was in 1996?
No, I was completely speculating. I don't know. 10-6.
7-9. Do you remember who their coach
7-9.
was?
Was it Dick Duron?
Wanstead?
Yeah, it's Wanstead. The stash.
It was Wanstead, the stash. Yeah, I liked when he was the Dolphins coach.
So, round of overs for everyone on Philadelphia, bringing us to Dallas at 9.5. They are juiced up to minus 145 for the over. I've gone back and forth with the Cowboys because I just don't think that Washington and the Giants are going to be any good, and I do think this offense is still pretty elite. Their defense just was in shambles in the second half of last year, but it was really good in the first part of the year. So maybe somewhere in between is where we need to look. That 10 wins, I can see 10 wins for Dallas, Tim.
I do not. In fact, I don't even think they're going to finish second in the division. We'll come on to one of the other teams that I kind of like a little bit more. I don't like their coach. I don't like the fact that he's on a one-year deal and he's basically a lame duck. There is drama completely surrounding which is always the case, but drama surrounding CeeDee Lamb. Prescott, again, did not play well down the stretch last year when it mattered and played terribly in the playoffs. There's a lot of hangover. There's a lot of anxiety there. This team's year was last year, and they kind of missed their chance. And now you're asking me to think, can they come back basically as they were, more or less, with Ezekiel Elliott? Am I incorrect in saying he's going to start at running back?
Or Uncle Rico?
Great. I just think this Cowboys team is worse than it was last year. Now, it won enough games to finish second in the NFC, so they could win a game or two fewer and still make this over. But boy, oh boy, I think this has the potential not just to go bad, but to go very bad. Maybe McCarthy doesn't make it through the season, let alone the end of the year. I'm going to play the under.
Geoff, I was surprised to see that this was bet up to minus 145 for the over. Because that's the difference between listening to the public and then listening to people who analyze this. It does feel industry-wide like a lot of people are just down on the Cowboys.
As they should be. Because it does feel like there's some malpractice going on over there. For an owner who's so rich and so hands-on, I don't know how he got here. Truly. To have all these guys, including the coach, playing without contracts, I just don't understand it. And I agree with both. Maybe they're being undervalued, but I could argue they're still a bit overrated. I think this team took a lot of hits, specifically to the offensive line. And I don't know, when you got guys playing without contracts, we've kind of seen with this modern new player, especially ones as good or worth as much as these guys would be on the open market. I expect Lamb to get done maybe even before the show gets released. But Parsons and Dak, I don't know, if you're due to make $58 million in free agency a year and some $300 million contract, you're going to pull that Lamar. You're not going to play banged up. And the margins are so small. And then the shit with the coach, it's already so loud there, and it's freaking August. And I know you could say, well, if anyone can handle it being loud, it's Dallas. It's just so loud before the season starts. And they got the coach on the expiring deal, which will just be over them from start to finish. So the talent can clear it. And if they do, I'm not shocked. But in having to make a pick, I think there's a lot of things working against them that scare me. Like Tim, under.
So I'm the only one going over because the coin is going under as well. I guess my question to you is, yes, it's loud out of Dallas what these problems are. But is it only loud because it's Dallas? If this was going on with the Colts, would you even hear about it?
Yes, but not to the
Not
same
with the
degree by any
coach.
means.
Maybe wouldn't be as like loud about the coach, but with the free agency of a quarterback is always loud. The unknown with the Lamb contract is easy. Jefferson signed, guys behind have signed. That's kind of easy to slot. Truth be told, there is some sort of framework for what Dak's contract should be. Yes, he has a lot of leverage, but that one's a lot easier. The Parsons one is very hard, in my opinion, because how he wants to get paid, what position, the fact that Aaron Donald retired and now you want to be top of market defense. I think there's a lot more variables in that contract. So I believe that noise would happen in any market with the way how popular the league is. Maybe outside of the coach factor wouldn't be that big of a deal, but all of it would be a big deal.
Washington is at 6.5 wins. They've been bet up to -130 for the over, Tim. I assume this is the other team that you like in this division.
It is. I think Commanders are a borderline playoff team. Everything went wrong for the Commanders last year. They had one of the worst defenses in football. They averaged over 30 points a game, I think. Bieniemy was just the wrong person to run that offense, and that never clicked. I really like the rookie QB Daniels, who they drafted, and I like they're going to start him right away because there's no savvy veteran in the wings that they can put out ahead of him. I like that they're starting him right away. I think Dan Quinn replacing Ron Rivera is such a boost in class. He will help both steady the defense and will provide some competency on the offensive side by brought in some coaches who can actually do something.
So you're a big Kingsbury guy now?
I think Kingsbury can be just fine, yes.
Jeffrey, how do you feel about Jaden Daniels? Because I like him, but I like him as a fantasy player for this year. I don't know how good in real life he's going to be. I think he's going to be exciting, but it kind of feels like what we saw from Justin Fields the past 5 years, at least year one. Maybe he'll be a lot better than that. I don't know. But 7 wins for a team that had the second worst defense in football last year is tough. Even with Dan Quinn coming in, let's say they're the 20th best defense. Does that get them to 7 wins?
I think they will be right around 7 wins. And I also don't think they'd be much lower than 6 wins. So it does make this one a tough one. I love Daniels. But in the same way, if you would ask, like, I'm sure like we talked about, it wasn't even a hot take, Anthony Richardson last year. There's no way Daniels is lasting a 17-game season.
It really does feel that way.
His legs are like these tiny little toothpick-looking things. And I love the guy. He's marvelous. And when he gets out open, he makes plays. But there's just going to be a couple times a game where he tries to do too much or like it's near the end zone and it's big and the situation calls for it. And he's just going to get hurt and he's going to miss some games. And you hope it's not early in the season or for an entire season like it was for Richardson. But if I could I never would want to bet for anyone to get hurt, despite what some people might have. Okay, there was one time.
I'm going to say, didn't you do this with Melvin Gordon?
Yes, there was one time I was offering prizes if a cart came out for Melvin Gordon. So I have to throw a flag on myself.
Vote Geoff.
But in the context of it not being personal, even if I don't think you're good or like I'm not cheering for anyone to get hurt, but I would Jaden Daniels probably getting hurt this year. But Bobby Wagner on defense and Dan Quinn might make them 20th. Might make that move up that you're speaking of, but I don't know how much higher it could get them.
How old do you think
they have a super rook? They have a super rook on their team who I really liked this year in Luke McCaffrey as a receiver.
What do you know about
him? Say the floor is yours, Tim.
Dad?
Please explain.
He's Christian McCaffrey's brother.
What round was he drafted in? What school did he go to?
Tim
what
is
do you mean?
No, I'm not trying
No, I'm not Googling. He was a 3rd rounder.
Okay. What school?
He went to Rice.
You're right, but you just
He's a good
Googled
player.
it.
He's
No,
Googling
he's a
it
good
right
player.
now.
I think he's going to be no, I actually I wouldn't find the result if I Googled it. I prefer search engine results that actually give me answers, so I wouldn't Google. No, I think he's gonna be a good player for them. He could be the Puka Nakua of this year.
I mean, I actually liked him. He was 100th overall. He seems like a fine receiving prospect. I just sort of wasn't expecting that from you. But
Kingsbury's going to do a great job. He's got a great talent in Daniels.
Doesn't their offensive line sucks, and we're worried about Daniels' health. So, I mean, he could get hurt, or I hope not. I don't want to talk about it because I like him and I want him to be healthy, but I'm not confident that's going to be the case.
Well, so far in the preseason on dropbacks, like he's just getting the ball out right away. Like that's the complete design. They're not throwing the ball down the field at all. It's super short A-dot passes, getting the ball out immediately so he doesn't take a hit. Now, I don't know if that was because of the preseason, don't get hurt in the preseason, or if that's going to be their strategy moving forward. But that's a tough look if everything you run is just near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, but like you said, Pat,
but he gets to start soft. Tampa, the Giants, the Bengals, the Cardinals, the first 4 teams he plays.
Yeah, but that could
I'm not terrified by any of those defenses.
Could they win all 4 of those games? Sure. Could they be 0-4? Yeah, they could be.
But even if you get through that 2-2, you've got a really good chance to get to the win total.
It's just
Browns, Giants again, Steelers, who are not that good, Titans, Saints. These trash teams up and down the board.
I feel like these teams are all better than Washington, though.
I like the sort of to Pat's original point. I do like the fantasy aspects of this team and sort of at a lot of positions. I do, but I don't know. Like, yes, they've been throwing it quick in the preseason. That's fine, but come the season, you're down 10 and it's 3rd and 9. And he's got to stand back there and make plays. So, I'm not doubting that he can, but at some point you're also going to have to, just stand in there, deliver, take some hits. I just look at those legs. I look at these like toothpicks that are coming out of his shoes. And that's my concern. But long term, hard arrows up.
Sounds like you're going under then.
I am. And they seem really popular. Like a lot of the, data nerds seem to be really liking something possible here. And if they won 9 games, that seems...
Here, let me posit this to you then. What team have the data nerds loved for each of the past 3 years? And did they hit their over, Geoff?
I'm forgetting who we're talking. I know they also really like Carolina, which we'll probably get to in a little bit this year, but I don't know.
The Chargers.
They liked. Oh, sure. Yeah. I don't know. You got me.
Well, here's the thing. Since we started this one, guess what I found, Tim?
I don't know.
I found the eye patch that I had to wear last year in looking for the coin. Remember that? Throwback.
Yes, I do, when you would scribble on your blank.
Yeah, I also found the coin. The coin is back. Great. There it is. Let's see. The coin is selecting heads, the Pat Mayo experience side. Or sorry, yeah, that's heads. It has my head.
The part that has your head on it.
Yeah,
where did you find the coin?
It was underneath the laptop.
I thought Tim did something to it because nobody else who comes in here would ever do anything because everyone else loves the coin except for Tim.
As Salazzo says in The Godfather, I'm not that clever.
The Giants are up next. 6.5 is their win total. They're one of the few teams where you do get plus 115 for betting the over on the Giants. They got Danny Dimes coming back. Maybe Drew Lock steps in if he's no good. Devin Singletary, Tim taking on the backfield. Neighbors seems like he's pretty legit, but I just don't know if there's anyone that can actually get him the ball. I can see why the under is being juiced up here. I think that the Giants are terrible. Under 6.5.
I'm on board with you. Under. I don't care for them in the least.
Their only saving grace, Geoff, to me, is I think Daboll's a good coach.
Didn't save him last year.
Daboll is a good coach. I still believe in that. Him and his wife. Looks like Ozempic's been a great success for them. He looks like half the man he used to be, at least in those Hard Knocks episodes.
Can I just say? Can I just make the point that the way people throw around the word Ozempic is to completely delegitimize somebody's weight loss. It's like it didn't really happen, or
You
it doesn't
can't-
count, or you don't deserve any of the kudos, or any of the, as if you've done something like you're like Mickey wearing the lifts in his shoes on Seinfeld. Like you've broken a fat guy code by taking Ozempic to lose weight. And I'm a fat guy, and Jeff's a fat guy, and look, there's nothing wrong if that's what somebody wants to do and they've lost weight. I don't look down on them by saying, "Oh, look, that person took Ozempic." Like,
hold on.
I
Hold
do
on.
not look down on those people. That's perfectly fine.
Hold on. I didn't hear anything from what Geoff said that he
No,
was
no,
looking
that set me
down
off because
on it. It sounds like you're
it's the
projecting
tone.
onto this.
It's the tone of voice, and Jeff knows it because he's
No,
heard
he
other
looks
people.
good.
People use that phrase. Oh, so and so took, as if like they did a short circuit, and we best not give them their props for losing weight the way we would if they had done it the old-fashioned way through exercise and dieting, as if one is somehow more moral than the other. There seems to be that connotation these days around Ozempic, and I just want to say that that's BS.
Well,
Okay.
I would spin it back the other way. I think when Geoff says like Ozempic worked, it's the immediate amount of weight loss so quickly, I think, is what points you to Ozempic, right, Geoff?
Yeah, and also, listen, I got a buddy who's taking it to like almost as a joke because he still drinks and eats so much. And he's just like, yeah, I want to maintain my current level. And honestly, Tim, I don't know, like in this direction, I'll take if Ozempic is like all these guinea pigs on Ozempic, let them perfect this thing for a couple years. I look forward to starting a potential journey. Who knows?
The ads during the Olympics sold me. I was like, I'm sold. I need to try it.
I do like that Ozempic has become like Kleenex, that it is the catch-all for that drug. It was great marketing on their part.
It's great marketing on their part.
So
But anyway,
Yeah, you got
to-
really offended by that.
Well, I don't see somebody losing weight on Ozempic as like somehow less of an accomplishment than like in another.
Oh, I
method.
don't either. But
Okay,
we're on the
but, like,
other side.
We're on the other side, but like I don't cast any aspersions in a way that I think some people may say, "Oh, well, that person just lost all the
Okay,
weight."
but I
to
didn't
Ozempic."
know. Like, if someone had a hair transplant, would you be like, look at that guy?
yeah, see,
Compared to what?
I
Growing
think
their hair back naturally, like that doesn't work because that doesn't happen.
you can wear a
Yeah,
toupee.
but
I guess.
I've encouraged our friend Tim
I
Butts to
could
wear a
see-
toupee for years.
I could totally respect, even though like I don't care. Like, look at me. I was happy to, let me see your notes at university so I can cram off your great notes. Like, I don't mind if there's an easy way out to losing weight. I would take it at some point, I believe. But I could also get why the Jim Hardo nutrition nut or
No,
someone who
I
lost
don't want anyone
100
taking away
pounds,
credit.
or
You know,
someone
I'm-
who lost, or someone who did it like truly just working their ass off and being disciplined. Like, I could see why they'd be like, that guy, man, but I don't care. It has no bearing on me. Like, they could think that. Like, I don't give a shit.
I don't think one form deserves more credit than any other.
Paul
Of
wants to
course,
weigh in
one
on this.
form deserves more
Yeah,
credit.
doing it
Are you kidding
naturally
me?
and sustainably, you definitely deserve more credit. Both are
Please,
good,
Tim,
but
that's
one is
crazy.
better.
No,
That's
no, I don't
crazy.
agree. I don't agree. I don't think there's levels
What do
of
you
credit here.
mean? I copy your note. I sit beside you. I copy your
That's not
answers
the
on
same.
the test.
That analogy that falls apart quickly, Jeffrey.
Why?
It's not the same thing.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
These are just different methods to achieving
I take
natural weight
your
loss.
essay and I paraphrase the whole fucking thing perfectly.
So-
I
so
get the
you-
same
so-
grade as you. We get the credit
So
together.
now, based on your analogy, if we take what you've just analogized seriously, Ozempic is cheating, and not
No,
Ozempic is
it's
not
an
cheating
easy way
because what
out.
you did at university, by the sounds of it, was cheating. So by your own argument, you've decided that Ozempic is cheating, and you're now amongst the chorus of people who don't want to give people any due credit because they might have used Ozempic. Well, God bless those people if they wanted to use it. I don't look down on them, and I give them full credit.
I like my wardrobe too much to like lose too much weight. I just
where
like,
would you find other Charger sidelines gear? Like that must be so
I
difficult
would
to
just
acquire.
not want to like. I'd rather keep in like the extra large category than ever have to go into like double.
This is such a first world problem.
Yeah, so what? We got first world problems, but
Yeah,
you
we're
thinking
not
that
we're not doing this show in Estonia, Tim.
I can't believe you think it's worth the same for someone to literally keep their mouth shut, put all those hours in at the gym, not eat any sugar or carbs, and then someone that's like, jabbing themselves and they get to the same, like, all credit to the jab, but it's not worth the same.
Certainly
credit.
not all credit.
You're a man
Certainly
of
not.
credit. You're a man of credit.
And I
these
don't
are
want
not
people
equal
denied their credit. I don't want
These are
people
not
denied
equal
their credit. Yeah,
This is like taking the golf cart for 4 holes on the back 9 and bragging you walked. Like, no, I
that
was
would be a
tired.
lot.
I walked a
That would
few
be a-
holes, but like
right.
my buddy was in a cart and there was an empty seat, so I got in it every time I got a little too tired.
I don't buy
Every
this.
time there was an uphill, I said, "Let me take a seat in the cart."
I'm actually more on Tim's side with this, Geoff.
Well, okay. No, that's fine. I don't think that's wrong. That means like one day I can get I'll get credit too.
Yeah,
one
And
day.
me sometime too, yeah.
Yeah, listen, if you guys do it, that's great. Eventually, you're probably going to come off of it, and then that's when the hard part begins. And that's why I think
Maybe.
that, like, if you lost it naturally, you'd be more conditioned to keep it off after coming off of it. That would be my fear of it, at least from, like, my perspective. Paul.
But that's why I don't consider even getting on it until we're at like model 3 of what they're doing now. Like anyone who's on it now to me is still a bit of a guinea pig.
I'm willing to be the early adopter.
I don't want to be part of the guinea pig. I don't care. I didn't need Hot Boy Summer. I'm cool. I don't need that. But like once they get this better and perfect it is probably a too strong a word. But once they like keep improving on it, that's like stage 3 or something. That's when I'll jump on, I think. Sure.
Paul?
I'm incredibly nervous for everybody that's on it now that Tim is on it. That Tim is all about it.
Oh, are you
'Cause,
hiding it
like-
from us, Tim? If you were
No,
on
no,
it,
I
you would tell us?
have
No,
not
but he's
started it.
He's
No.
put all of his support behind it and wants credit for when he does take it. So I worry about health implications that are going to come out in this next calendar year. It'll all be Tim's fault if Ozempic causes major, major problems.
So everyone's under on the Giants?
Yeah, sorry, I did not mean to derail the conversation.
Yeah, I'm under. Daniel Jones sucks. Just under.
So
I
I'm
think
taking...
it'd be fun.
Sure. I'm taking Philly to win the division. You guys?
Yeah, Philadelphia.
All right, fun.
Square
fun.
City so far.
Yeah, fun chalk all the way around. That does bring us to the midpoint of the show, which means it's time for a mini version back again of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
Something.
Ozempic.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I mean, I had other things that I feel like I haven't gotten my credit for that I was going to talk about, but we can leave that aside because that would be too indulgent. Maybe I'll talk about it on the next
You
show.
tweet a list at least later, like things I deserved credit for. that
No,
I
well,
haven't-
that would be bad SEO. It's better to let people know that I may talk about it later. Something I've rediscovered in the last couple of weeks, and I forgot how great it is ground turkey. And I don't understand why I ever bought ground beef to begin with for anything other than hamburgers. And even then, ground turkey is so good because you can add all the spices you want to it to get it to be the flavor you want. And it's so much healthier for you. And it's so versatile. And it does everything that you need ground beef to do with less fat, fewer calories, and you can just go hog wild on the spices if you want to get it to where you need. I have fallen in love again with ground turkey, and I don't know when I would buy a package of ground beef again because this stuff is just fantastic. And it makes less oil and grease, and it's less dirty like to cook with. It's just everything about it is so great. I love ground turkey.
I'm with you. I eat ground turkey all the time. But that doesn't mean I also don't eat ground beef. The sneaky thing is ground beef just tastes better.
No, I don't know. No,
does.
because you can spice
It
up the
does.
ground turkey in such a way that it's indistinguishable, more or less.
I don't know about that.
And it's the spices that I want to taste anyway.
I don't understand. I mean, I don't disagree. Ground turkey's lovely. It's fine, but to like
It's so good. Like people,
Yeah, it's
I'm
good.
doing a public service, sort of, I guess, little piggybacking off of weight loss stuff, perhaps. Switch to ground turkey. people.
Have you really dug into like weight loss stuff here?
The algorithm on my TikTok these days is so focused on weight loss stuff. That's like every other video on the TikTok I get now are like weight loss regimes, cooking tips. I'm telling you,
that's
this
what you get for
ground-
being an Andrew Tate fan, Tim.
I most certainly am not. Maybe that's what you and your 4chan buddies joke about, but that's not what we do over here. Ground turkey, ground chicken, that's the wave of the future. It's so good. It's so filling. Like I made spaghetti sauce the other night with ground turkey rather than ground beef. It was just as good, just as delicious.
Can I just
Far fewer calories.
like the wave of the future? I feel like moms have been
We've known,
making us-
it's not new. It's not brand new, but yeah,
like
it's been reintroduced
we've all
into
got
my life.
moms that I feel like have been making once in a while make turkey burgers instead of the red ones and try to tell us it's all the same. I agree. It's good to get it in there once in a while. I'm not getting rid of my ground beef though. I'm not getting
Get rid of it. Make tacos with ground turkey instead of ground
Now,
beef.
that's
Stop
the
it.
that's
Stop
the thing.
it.
There are certain
Stop
things that
it.
ground beef is just better for. Tacos being
taco
number
sauce
one on
holds
that
great
list.
taco sauce, the spice holds just as well to the ground turkey, if not better. It coats it. It's delicious. You don't need it's all the. I mean, you're pro more calories, I guess. I'm pro fewer calories.
Stop.
I mean, I'm pretty pro.
I'm just saying that.
I'm pretty pro taste. And granted, there are. I mean, I do eat ground turkey. Ground turkey for me is like a filler type food. So if I'll make a bunch, I'll put it in some Tupperware, I'll put it into the fridge, and then hey, if I need a quick meal, I'll make a little bit of rice and then put the ground turkey in with it, cut up some vegetables, be on my way.
Yes.
But that is me being like, hey, I need fuel right now. Let me fuel up. If I actually want to enjoy something, I'd rather eat ground beef.
No, I think the ground turkey does everything or sufficiently enough that the ground beef does that, like, unless you're making a hamburger or something, save the beef for the steaks and the roasts. And if you're going to get minced meat, get ground turkey or ground chicken. You won't regret it.
Well, here's the sneaky thing, Geoff. In tacos, chorizo is better than ground beef, which is even worse for you. Like the
I
more
say chorizo is just fatty and
it's delicious.
sausage. I mean, like ground sausage is better in
I've never
spaghetti
done
sauce
that.
than ground beef, but that doesn't mean it's not the healthy choice. Go with the ground turkey. You won't regret it. You won't regret it. You'll love it.
Now, Geoff, I eat
anything else.
I eat a lot of turkey. I just find it to be incredibly bland after time.
Well, you're not spicing it enough. That's on you for insufficiently seasoning your food.
Tell me what spices you're putting on turkey.
Cumin, onion powder, garlic powder, chili powder. Those are my principal ones.
Why
Some of the steak spice.
why don't you just eat a bowl of spice then? That seems like the only taste that you want. Just get
No,
be
but
like
I-
Homer.
but I like
Get a rice patty. Spice it all up if that's all you're tasting anyway.
These spices are calorie free, and they're delicious.
I would say you've really let people down here, Tim.
Oh, I've let people down, have I, Jeff? Oh, I'd
Yeah,
hate
like
to
if
do
you're a
that.
big
I'd
Cust
hate to let
Corner
them-
fan, you love
How
your
dare
Cust
I
Corner,
recommend? Well, to be
and
fair,
it's
I
the
sort of
season
already gave them.
premiere.
I sort of already gave them a corner, like 10 minutes ago, when you were
Fair.
too busy. When you were too busy calling Ozempic users cheaters. That's
No,
when
I
you sort of had a
wasn't.
corner.
I was saying less
You
credit.
analogized it to you copying your friend's notes and writing a paper for university.
Okay,
based
no,
on
let
those
me
notes.
change it. Let me change it. Who deserves more credit for the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl? Mahomes or the backup quarterback?
Well, one
Like
actually
Kelsey
played,
or
and one
Watson?
didn't.
Yeah, but they both get a
Noah
ring.
Gray or Kelsey? Like one guy worked harder. That's all.
That's a better analogy.
I will take my free credit one day. You know?
Yeah, you'll
I'll
take
take it.
you'll take your Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, I look forward to it, dude. I work
And
in
yet, if
group-
I stand in line at the fast food place to get my meal, and someone else does it on their phone, I don't deserve any extra credit from you folks for putting an extra effort in and going to McDonald's. I mean, you want a fun topic? Okay, here's a fun topic.
Show them the hat.
What?
The hat, Geoff. The hat.
I went to a NASCAR race. I got this sick hat. Only at a NASCAR race could you get like a McDonald's flat brim. So everybody won the McDonald's car won the race. So that was freaking awesome. And Monster car.
Here's a fun idea. You want a fun idea? I think there should be a Nexus line style at fast food places for preferred customers.
So like based on how many points you have at McDonald's?
Points, stuff like that. That's exactly what I was thinking. There ought to be a Nexus style line for people like me.
It's
people
called
like
mobile
you.
ordering.
No, but that's equal to everybody. I'm talking about I should have a special line to get in that's just devoted to me. The way that like first class is devoted,
McDonald's moves fast.
like the Maple Leaf Lounge, but for me.
They really do at like Lunch Rush. They really do run like a fast operation. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I should be able to skip the line, and I should have and they should come with perks. Like there should be early starts on promotions and late access to promotions. Monopoly should start 3 or 4 days early for me, and it should run 3 or 4 days later for me and people like me. Like we should have early access to the cups that are out right now, and we should have late access. No, I'm not. You want something fun? I think there should be a Nexus line for preferred customers at fast food places, and they have other perks like early starts on promotions and late accesses.
So it's like when you go. It's like when you buy the Fast Pass at Disney, Geoff, but for McDonald's and Tim.
And for people who've actually put in the work. People like me who put in the work.
You want to beat the line like you just mobile order.
But not just beat the lines, like I should have my own line. Those of us who are preferred customers should have our own line. The same way in an airline treat, their preferred status customers differently than they do those of us who buy a coach ticket. It's no different. That's the type of
how
service.
you have to pay
here's the difference.
You have to pay for that.
The one person is paying $1,500 for a seat.
I've already paid that money by being the preferred customer. That's what makes me the preferred customer, is that I have paid over the longevity of the last 15 years,
the special treatment comes from like you go into that McDonald's that you go to all the time, and the lady knows you, and she can, she just takes a little extra care of you. But what do you beat the line at McDonald's?
Not just beat the line. I should have my own. There should be a line dedicated to preferred customers, to customers who have hit the threshold of so many purchases or so many visits.
What do you think this is? Like you get like a hotel, like when you're treated into the VIP check-in?
Yes, that is precisely what I want. Why can't I have that? Feel like I've earned it.
The
McDonald's, feel like I've spent enough money.
You buy $1 coffees and $4 egg McMuffins. What are you talking about?
I do 2-a-days during Monopoly. What are you talking about?
Do you think you'd have more success with McDonald's Monopoly if you wore that hat that Geoff has?
I think that's a great hat. It might be a lucky hat. I love that hat. I'm extremely jealous of that hat, and I would wear that hat everywhere.
I might have to give it to you.
It's just like I love the Tour Championship watching on TV because all the caddies have those bibs on that say Coca-Cola on. I think it just looks really cool to have a bib that says Coca-Cola.
The T markers are great.
They are fantastic.
Yeah, those are good. Those are good. I think you're so main character to think that.
So you want a fun category, and I give you a fun category because God forbid I recommend to people that they eat healthy, and here's some good ways to do it. And then as soon as I give a fun and interesting idea, you're like, oh, well, that's terrible.
No, I didn't say it's terrible or this hasn't been a good conversation. But yeah, firstly, I will say, like the first football show of the year, it's kind of like the season premiere, and you lay out like ground turkey meat, like is good for
November.
you. Like,
this ain't November sweeps.
Yeah, so I'm just saying the critics might have been like, was really
well. Then I have
satisfied
satisfied those critics. We've given them like 3 corners in the last 20 minutes.
That's so good.
Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Supercharger, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. Everyone who tunes into the Pat Mayo Experience knows from time to time I like to talk to you about some health supplements that I end up taking, and I've been doing Timeline's Mayo Pure now for about a month. Feel great? And I think you can too. Take 2 soft gels a day for 2 months, and you can see significant improvements in your cellular energy, your muscle strength, and your endurance. That was the big thing. I've been golfing more this summer and lifting less. Yet when I go back to the gym for my once a week, like max lift, I am not really atrophying that much. I'm not losing a ton of muscle, which is absolutely fantastic news for me and my golf game, because if you work out too much, then you get too sore, you get too stiff, you need to retain that flexibility. I'm retaining my muscle mass at the same time, although I'm not working out as much, and it comes in 2 product designs to fit your needs. They're berry powder, which is great to mix into your breakfast yogurt or daily smoothie. That's how I've been doing it. I've been eating some strawberries, raspberries, blackberries with a little bit of yogurt, a little bit of protein powder, then boom, Timeline's Mayo Pure right on top of that. Or they have soft gels for the days where you're just on the run and wanted something convenient to grab and go. So, Timeline is offering 10% off your first order of Mayo Pure right now. So go to timeline.com/Mayo to get that 10% off. All right? And we're just heating up. That's okay. Let's get to the NFC South, because I want to hear Tim's take on Atlanta, who is the division favorite at -145. 9.5 wins have been bet up to -135. You're going over. I'm going under. Hard under on Atlanta for me. I'm very willing to be wrong on Atlanta. Why do you like them so much?
I like Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is a darn good quarterback. I think he's going to play fine there. I think they still have a ton of offensive weapons. I like that they brought on board an actual defensive playmaker in the last few days. That helps. I think moving from Arthur Smith's system will be a plus as well. That for whatever reason, what he was selling, they just couldn't buy in Atlanta. They have all the pieces the last couple of seasons. They couldn't put it together. And they're in the worst division in football, where, yeah, I think Carolina will be a little better, but I think Tampa and New Orleans are not going to be that good. So Atlanta gets to fall backwards into 11 or 12 wins, and maybe they're not an 11 or 12 win caliber team. But I just think they have all the pieces. I think they're going to be well coached. I like Kirk Cousins. I didn't like taking Penix where they did, given that they had, particularly on the defensive side, more needs.
The Penix mighty.
But if Kirk gets hurt, I've seen a little bit they've shown in preseason suggest that maybe Penix can play some good ball, which one should hope since you took him with the 8th overall pick or whatever. But I think Atlanta's in a good position, and they've underachieved. But maybe this is a year where everyone. I think a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, well, Atlanta, they continue to underachieve. That's who they are," and they're going to miss the wave that's coming. So I'm going to take the Falcons.
But that's not the thing. Everyone's so over on the Falcons. People love the Falcons this year. And here's my contention, Geoff. Remember the year that we finally jumped in on the Jags when they had the college football all-star team and they just sucked and they sucked and they sucked, and finally, all of a sudden, they were Saxonville and they were awesome, and Tim hated them. It's going to happen to Atlanta at some point, but it's not when everyone is on them. It's going to be next year when they go 7-9 this year with this team. People are like, "Oh, fuck Atlanta." The Saints won the division this year. I'm just out on them. And then they will eventually be good. That's how I envision this going for the Falcons. Play more narrative than actual fact on this one. That's why I like the under. I just think, again, just like when I picked Tampa Bay to win this division last year, I think all the teams kind of suck, so anyone can win.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of thinking about the show the last day and a half or so. I'm curious who you would have winning this division, because you were on the nose last year with Tampa.
I have.
And I knew for certain you would be fading Atlanta. Just in knowing you, and it hasn't treated you, it hasn't burned you before, and it's actually been very profitable for you. I'm a sucker, though. I've never been on Atlanta. I'm on them now. I like Kirk Cousins. I was a defender of him in Minnesota. Tim has to back Kirk Cousins in the sense because he can't he can't call out an old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury today because that could lead to trouble for him next week. So Tim is probably just having to stay in that lane, but I love Cousins and I love Raheem Morris. Zach Robinson as well coming over from the Rams. The defense sucks. Defense is a concern. Some late Judon and Justin Simmons. You hope it can help. I just think everyone else truly sucks, and they are a tier better than the rest of them in the division.
I could see this blowing up in my face because I did the exact same thing, Tim, on Detroit 2 years ago when everyone steamed Detroit, and it just turned out they were good. I'm fully willing to admit that can happen with Atlanta this year. They go 13-4, 12-5, something like that, and hit the peaks that people think they're going to do. I just don't trust teams from this division.
I mean, I get why you'd be skeptical. They keep Sideshow Bob stepping on rakes at every turn. But, I think enough has substantially changed in the last 3 years to say that I think it's likelier than not we're going to have a divergence from what happened.
Tampa is 7.5. They won a playoff game last year, if people don't remember that. They're plus 350 to win the division. They're just kind of running it back. But, Geoff, they lost what I feel is the key ingredient to this offense, their offensive coordinator. Under.
They didn't really lose a ton other than a couple offensive linemen. So the offensive line really does come back. The offense as a whole is really just back as is outside of Canales.
And I think people forget that Tampa was the 20th ranked offense last year. It's not like they were absolutely lighting it up. They just played in a bad division and ended up. We got to a point like week 17 or 18 or wherever the hell it was that all three of the teams could have won at a certain point. And the Falcons were terrible. The Saints were terrible. The Bucs were just the least terrible of the bunch. I don't see why they're getting juiced up to minus 150 to hit the over 7.5. 8-9, sure, maybe. Probably more likely 6-11.
Baker Mania, that's why.
I think the Falcons and the Panthers are better. I think it's going to come at the cost of Tampa's wins, who probably overachieved last year. And hey, Tampa fans, I was off them the year they won the Super Bowl before the year. I lost on alt unders on them last year. I thought they could be the worst team in the league. So just be happy I'm picking your under because I never know what you guys are about. But
my favorite moment of the year is when does Geoff bet New Orleans to win the division, and at what point does he commit to it? Because it happens every year.
But this year I actually think
it's going to be in about 127 seconds.
No, because I actually like it. The difference between this year and the other years is I wasn't afraid of Atlanta. This year, because I do like the coach and the quarterback a lot, I'm not looking for the Saints to do it. And I don't trust. I mean, people who haven't trusted Dennis Allen to win the money before could probably jump in and be like, yeah, I'll pick the Saints. I can trust that guy. I have. I don't want to.
Are you over or under, Tim?
On Tampa?
Yeah.
Tough one. Under, I suppose, because I got 2 overs in this division.
All right, well, that's a round of unders for them. Let's move to the Saints. And, Geoff, I was the one who basically mocked you every single week about the Saints a year ago. They're 7.5. They're plus 380 now to win the division, 4-1 in some spots, plus 170 to make the playoffs. And they are juiced to minus 120 to the over, so slight vig on that because they're taking big vig on both sides. The Saints are going to win the division this year, Geoff.
No.
Yes, they are.
No.
They are the most completely mediocre team of this bunch. They're going to be league average.
Throwing your lot in
league average.
Carr.
Sure, I am, but I'm not doing it at minus 120.
Allen.
I'm not doing it at minus 120. I'm doing it at 4-1. There's a big difference.
Still, 4-1 is so. I mean, it doesn't matter what the odds were. They're so bad.
They were 9. If they go 9-8 again this year, like they did last year, they probably win the division.
Not enough.
Yeah, but you're coming from the point where you think Atlanta's going to be good. I don't think they are.
I do. Dennis Allen and
Yeah, Dennis Allen reeks. Derek Carr's whatever. He's fine. He's like,
Derek Carr. It's like the coach is bad, the quarterback is bad, but I like him in the division. That's a novel approach.
who do you think is better, Derek Carr or Brock Purdy?
I would say Brock Purdy because I think Derek Carr is really bad now. I think he's done.
Who do you think is better, Gardner Minshew or Derek Carr?
I also despise Gardner Minshew, so I would say Derek Carr is better than Gardner Minshew.
Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr?
Oh, please. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best 10 quarterbacks in the game's history, let alone one of the top 10 quarterbacks this season.
Well, it's not about the career stats. It's about this year.
He's definitely better.
I just look at the Saints. There wasn't a bunch of turnover, Geoff. They're going to be mediocre in a mediocre division. They can get to 9 wins, and I think that's enough. I like their over.
This is a podcast, Geoff. You do actually have to
They're
say
so
something.
flawed. Their offensive line is so bad. I like the interior guy that they drafted. Just I don't know.
17th offense, 15th defense, 14th special teams. Like that is the blueprint to winning this division.
The problem with this division is it's so bad, it almost makes being as bad as you might want to be impossible. Like, even if the Saints bottom out, could they get to the top 3 of the draft just because they're in this division? There's almost too many wins. I'd argue the best thing for this franchise would be to get to the bottom of next year's draft. And I'd argue there's some aspects of their roster and coaching staff that could allow for that. So I'll pick the under, but I guess I'll be wrong. And maybe in September I'll jump on the bandwagon.
Well, you and Tim are on the under for the Saints. The coin and I are on the over. Carolina, 5.5. That's juiced up to minus 115, so about even on each side. It's minus 105 to the under. Dave Canales, now the coach, leaving Tampa Bay as the OC to become the Bryce Young whisperer. I get that people are on them. I just don't think that they're very good, Geoff. I'm going to take the under of 5.5. I don't think they improved all that much.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been on them as they seem to have made some gains in the coaching or analytics community and some nice offseason additions, but I'm not betting them to be 6-10. So I'd say the fact that people are on them have gotten you maybe a game and a half since the opener. I'm on the under. I mean, it'll be nice to see Canales make Bryce Young a competent quarterback, and that wouldn't shock me. But I'm not buying into it.
Tim, who was the last quarterback that you saw as a rookie who showed nothing to you to say, like, man, that guy? Because for years, both you guys talked about, man, look at these ceiling plays from Sam Darnold. That it just gave you this hope that maybe he would evolve into something, which he never did. And then it kind of feels like Zach Wilson, man.
Maybe. Or maybe it's like Trevor Lawrence, where he didn't do a whole lot in his rookie year because the coaching circumstance was horrific.
Yeah, but
I
would push back on that, though, because, Geoff, we even remember the Trevor Lawrence stuff from year one. He didn't look good, but he'd make these plays. You'd be like, oh, wow, like that's a play. We didn't see any of that from Bryce Young.
I agree, but I also don't need him to have that type of upside. I just need him to win 6 games to be okay. And I think he can be okay. I don't mind some of the additions. I like, they have added a veteran pass rusher in Clowney. I think Canales can help develop the QB as much as can be. I think when I wrote down their win total, I wrote down 6, and that is a slight over. So it's not one that I'm super confident about. But I think Carolina can be competitive, and I'm cheering for Bryce Young. I'd like to not see him be a bust. I hate when teams draft somebody first overall and it's a complete bust. So, like, I'm kind of rooting for them a little bit.
Well, I'll be cheering for them as well.
You say they get Clowney, they lose Burns. Like, that's a downgrade. That makes them worse.
Yeah, it is, but their coaching staff upgrades are so significant. I just think that team was in a terrible.
Who's their offensive coordinator? And I don't even know. But you say their coaching staff upgrades. Like, you like a coach. He's never coached
Canales
before.
is the head coach.
Yeah, I know, but...
So one would presume... I just presume he's calling the plays, Geoff.
sorry, that I understand, but I don't. I mean, we have no context how good
Things
of a
were
head
so
coach he'll
bad
be.
last year, though, in Carolina. They have to be better.
Yeah, but even if
This
they're
is like,
better,
did it
is
matter
that
who
six-
replaced Urban Meyer? No, it
but
didn't matter.
Is that 6 wins though?
Well, they won 3 games, last year?
Yeah, Brad
Hey,
Idzik is the OC.
He was I think Brad Idzik was with the Jets.
I think he was the fucking producer on the OC. Who the fuck is this guy? He was the He was the Tampa Bay wide receivers coach last year. He was also the assistant wide receivers coach for the Seahawks for 4 years.
Well, he worked with some fantastic players in Seattle and in Tampa at the wide receiver position.
So now he gets Deontay Johnson. He can coach up Adam Thielen, who's 55 years old, in Alanis Marset. Great.
Okay, well, you have the under. I'd take a slight over. I think this scheme's going to be competitive.
Like them not having, the first overall pick, which it turned out, Geoff, is such a terrible outcome for such a
Week
shitty
1
team.
at the Saints. I would like their chances week 1 at the Saints. I think they're going to win that game.
Listen, the Saints are very beatable. I don't want to come on here. My point wasn't that they're so good they win the division.
And then they have the Chargers. Chargers are going to be awful. So they could be 2-0 real quick. Then the Raiders. They could be 3-0 real quick in the blink of an eye. Now, this team might still only win 6 games. But they could go 3-1 to start. Easy.
All right, well, let's pick a winner here. I'm going to pick the Saints to win the division.
Falcons.
Falcons.
So, yeah, at least I didn't go Chalk City forever. That's the thing. The consensus doesn't always work out in the NFL. I've heard that year over year.
Promise you, chalk is not coming here.
I hope you take the Vikings.
Yeah,
But
chalk isn't coming here for me either.
Uh-oh, maybe Geoff and I have the same unchalky pick. I don't know.
the Lions are up first. 10.5 is their win total, juiced up to minus 135 right now, minus 245 to make the playoffs, plus 135 to win the division. What's different about the Lions this year?
Nothing, but I believe that they basically had a perfect season last year. That was their year. Everything went as good as it could go. And I don't think they're going to run it back twice. The division has gotten better in the last year. They got the perfect draws. They had really good health by and large. And that defense still played really badly down the stretch in some important. That defense cost them the NFC Championship game. That defense was lit up by, who was it late in the year that lit them up? It's a Seattle, Carolina. Somebody played great against them. That defense still scares me in Detroit. I'm not 100% sold on them, and I'm not 100% sold that Jared Goff is as good as he played last year. I think he played a little bit over his head. I think I would have the Lions in the last wild card spot. So maybe 10 wins, maybe 9 wins, but under this number. I think regression is coming. I think they're more likely to have a letdown in the NFC than San Francisco. Things went perfectly, and the Lions fans know this. Your team with as tortured of a history as they have, you kind of only get one shot at things, and if you blow it, it doesn't come right back the next year.
Oh, no.
I really think that's the case here.
Geoff, the Lions have officially become the NFC Bills.
The
Maybe.
Bills never got back to the title game after they lost.
No, but
to
it was
the
just like
Chiefs.
they're
They never got
consistently.
back again.
Yeah, listen, they're consistently good, and they'll be in. I like their over here. They play 14 of 17 games indoors. That mitigates a lot of the Goff problems.
The thing about this current team is their weakness could be enhanced by the fact that they play so much indoor football, being at that it's their secondary, and the fast tracks indoors allow teams to expose it. So that is something, maybe a concern. I like the Lions. I like them a lot. Great team. Program will continue, but I got to change it up somewhere. I'm picking them under.
I'm the only one going over on the Lions? Wow.
I got other overs.
Yeah, I figured so. I figured that would be the case after you said that there's another. Both of you don't like the Lions as chalk to win this division. I do like the Lions to win the division, but that's me. Green Bay is up next. Geoff, they won you a bunch of cash last year. They're 9.5. The over's juiced up to minus 135 at the moment. I'm probably wrong about this. But Tim, remember all those years where the Dolphins would win their final 5 games after being kind of mediocre, then everyone would be all in on the Dolphins and they'd just suck the next year? They'd start 1-7. I don't think that the Packers are going to start 1-7. I just think that they are the most not even necessarily fraudulently hyped team. It just seems like they're way too hyped for what they are.
You and I are reading each other's mail.
Okay.
I feel the same way. I think they're going to finish last in the division.
That I don't know about.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I
sure
do.
thing, pal.
Well, I do. I actually think they are overhyped in what is the best division in football, in my opinion.
It's not.
I think that it is the best division, top to bottom. That all four of these teams are top quality teams and could really do great things if they hit their ceiling.
They can do great things.
Yeah, I know. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm under. I'm under with you. I think we only saw a half of a great season from Jordan Love, and he played great. Give him his due, but it's only half a year. And the Packers are just way too overhyped. And they have a tough schedule this season. And I'm going to play against them. I'm going to play under. I think they're going to finish 7-10 and last in the division.
Last year, Geoff,
for their-
the 6th ranked offense, the 27th ranked defense, and the 31st ranked special teams.
Geoff knows the thing about that.
For their hype, maybe it would have been better for them not to just like totally ransack the Cowboys on the road in the postseason for their hype. But you can't change that. And I agree that the floor could potentially be a lot lower than anyone is giving credit or credence to, because we've only seen it for a half season.
Look, I'd say the floor is like 7-10. And that's like worst case scenario if Love plays. The one thing that we never put into this, the only time it got brought up in this entire discussion about win totals, was Jaden Daniels getting hurt. But guess what? Quarterbacks get hurt all the time. That if what do we think that their upside is in this division? Because Tim seems to think it's really a tough division. Geoff, how do you rate this division? Like, is their upside 13-4? Is it? No, is that? Yeah, that works out. 12-5.
I don't think a 1 seed is coming from the division, because I think the division is too good. But the Packers are a huge part of it. They okay, it's easy to make in some ways, if you love the Packers like I do, excuses for how the season started. It was a inexperienced quarterback getting in there. It's a whole new normal for a team that was led by Aaron Rodgers forever. But I think the roster is great. The defensive line, the receivers, the O-line is solid. They've got a bit of a hole at linebacker, but they improved the secondary. I'll go back to the coaches. I just think this is a great roster with a quarterback with a really high ceiling. I'm going over. I think this team could be a Super Bowl contender.
I think, by the way, Geoff, you're right. That if they hit their optimum, they are totally a 12-5 team that could win the Super Bowl. I 100% agree with you. I just think it's likelier than not that things come down sideways rather than forward.
I don't like how much of on the same page we are with this, because I have the exact same feeling. I do think that they're one of the 8-12, as Aaron Rodgers said, Tim. There's 8-12 teams that can win every year. The Packers are definitely one of those teams. It's funny that I comp them to the old school Dolphins earlier, because their roster to me feels like the exact antithesis of the current Dolphins roster.
Yeah, they're not flashy and full of quote unquote fast who aren't that fast receivers here.
Their entire
what if Tyreek Hill what if Tyreek Hill actually beats Jordan Lyles in a 100-meter dash? What would you say then?
I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it.
He says he can do it.
I'm sure he thinks he can.
We spoke about it a lot last year, and it is truly to be marveled at the receiving room in Green Bay with the tight ends, I believe, makes like combined $15 or $16 million. So with where the league is like gone in the last few years, in the receiver market, and the fact that they've got all those guys playing well or what seem like on rookie deals, I don't know. I love the tight end room over there as well.
Which one? Musgrave, or is it Kelly Craft? No, that's a golfer. Tucker Craft.
I liked Musgrave. I kind of wanted the Chargers to draft him 2 years ago. He got hurt a bit, I think, at the beginning.
Yeah, it was just like
season. But
Christian Watson was hurt for a lot of last year too. It just feels like they can run a rotation and be very solid. That's the whole thing about the Packers. They're just solid across the board. And teams like that can vary, like lose a few close games and you're cooked.
Yeah, they'll win close games too.
We'll learn a lot
Pro-
about them week 1 in Sao Paulo. That's a very intriguing game.
No,
against the
it's
Pack-
not
against
though,
the
because it's. I
overrated.
think
the
you can,
results overrated either way of week 1.
yeah,
I feel always.
and it's in fucking Brazil. Like it's just gonna. Remember who was it who played? Was it the Texans versus the Raiders in Mexico City when they were laser pointering DeAndre
great
Hopkins? And that it was a great game, but it was all of the international games don't feel like real games that mean anything. Like they do, obviously, to the standings, but how a team actually is, it's just weird because you might have like a weird. Your travel schedule could get fucked up, and that fucks you up. The catering. So one team could get good catering, one team could get bad catering, and like half the team gets food poisoning. Like there's not much I try to take away from the long term from these types of games.
I will say though, the equalizer here is that it's not like off a tough overtime game in like week 6. It's off a bye week in which I assume no one who's playing in preseason game number 3 for either of the teams is anyone who's planning on playing in Sao Paulo will not be playing in the 3rd preseason game. So, like, yes, but I feel like it's actually a more tamed down international game because you don't have it's just at the very beginning, which I actually think is a benefit to both teams.
Is Sao Paulo in our time zone, Tim?
Rio is. I wonder if Sao Paulo is as well. I can.
Let's see. Current time in Sao Paulo. Yeah, it is. It's exactly the same as us. There we go. I just remember the Brazil Olympics.
Yes, the Rio de Janeiro Olympics, we had the same time zone. But Sao Paulo is southern, and I thought eastern of Rio.
It is.
On the thing that...
Western, sorry.
On, your list or the things you want to tease for the future about credit, can I just ask, are the Paris Olympics being good part of your credit list?
And the golf aspect of it and how golfers love the Olympics now. Yes, that is part of what I want to talk about next, Warner. About the credit, I feel like I'm deserved.
Well, we're coming out. I have an unreleased Cust Corner full length version coming out where we talk about the Olympics and that. We don't need to rehash the Olympics.
No, we don't.
We'll have me, you, and Cam talking about some Olympic stuff.
So you've gotten your credit. You've already taken your
I haven't gotten
that.
my credit. No, you know what? Next week we'll revisit the credit I think I'm due.
Well, the credit will be Tim will have his Halloween decorations already up. We can talk about that.
It is October, you know.
I actually did see that Starbucks tomorrow, I believe, switches to their fall menu bullshit.
Can't wait.
So under for everyone besides Geoff on Green Bay. That is not what I expected coming into this. The Bears are 9.5. They are, again, the 3rd team in the NFC where you actually get plus money to get their win total of 9.5. It seems like an absurd number, Tim. I like the Bears this year, but that's a lot of wins.
Yeah, I'm sold.
You're sold on Caleb, are you?
I'm sold
that
on.
surprises
Did
me.
you see the pass that Caleb made the other day, rolling out of the pocket? Oh my goodness! I don't know who else in the NFL. If there's any quarterback in the NFL who can make that throw,
Patrick Mahomes.
oh my goodness, maybe. It was so otherworldly good. Like, oh my goodness, what a throw! I'm all in. This is my team in the NFC. I'm all in. I'm laying hands upon them.
Oh boy.
They're my team. I'm picking them.
God.
I am 100% in on Caleb Williams. I'm 100% in on everything. I like the fact that they have some veterans on the team. They have both Gerald Everett and Keenan Allen on the catching balls. I love that. I think that's great. I like DeAndre Swift. I love Khalil Herbert. I always have. I like that Mercedes Lewis is back. Like, just veteran presences up and down the roster. The defense is really talented. I just think Caleb is going to be a superstar. So I'm sold. I've seen him make passes I don't think anybody else can make. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm just Eberflus did, I thought, a very good job in the second half of last year when things looked like they were going to go really, really, really badly. And he brought that team to respectability and I think saved his job. And they played well. And the Bears have looked good in preseason too. And I think the first time I've referred to preseason this show. I'm in. I'm 100% in. Go Bears.
Jeff, the last
Much
time
Chicago.
the last time he talked about only this quarterback can make this throw, Zach Wilson was the answer.
I mean, there are passes that only Zach Wilson can make, but I was wrong about them being good.
I like it. Oh, but Paul.
I guarantee, I remember this to a T, that Tim, before the draft, was saying that Caleb Williams was incredibly overrated because he had watched Notre Dame beat the crap out of USC last year. And then he was like, I can't believe everyone loves Caleb Williams. Now he's completely flipped the script.
I've changed my mind. I've seen, because I've watched even more tape, and believe it or not,
More tape.
More tape by you saw that
willing-
one highlight?
Like highlights.
other
You mean like highlights from the preseason?
I'm entitled to change my opinion.
You are.
And I have.
You are.
You are.
But you said
And
that
now
like
if
he was,
quarterbacks.
I
There's
am
quarterbacks
laying,
that could be leading the league in categories you wouldn't change your opinion on, but
I am laying down a marker right here and right now on Chicago.
the people of Chicago are so desperate for their savior, and I'm certain they don't see this as a good development.
My frustration really is the fact that I'm going to have to wrestle with other Bear fans over the beignets in New Orleans.
I don't have anything bad to say. They're clearly like, to get the first overall pick when you don't even like aren't the first overall team, and to get that quarterback, everything's going great. I'm just not saying yes to 10-7. I am, just, it's a league and you gotta welcome it. And well, the Texans did it with no hype. Doing it with the hype, that's all. But if they did it, it seems like it's in the range of outcomes for them to just everything to live up to what it's supposed to be in year one. But I'm gonna just like lean against it happening in year one. So
Someone's going to
under.
go worst to first. I think this is the team.
Maybe that seems possible.
Their defense was excellent in the second half of the year. Basically, is the
Bringing
moment,
Sweat in was
Yeah.
a huge thing that I didn't even anticipate how much of a difference he'd make.
and he really did. So, and this is probably, I can't remember a situation where a rookie quarterback came in and had a full offense ready to go. Could be a really good offense.
I think so too. Exciting. A lot of fun. I expect big things from this team.
The problem is he's still a rookie, and he's going to make stupid rookie mistakes because they're going to let him go. It's not going to be I don't think it's going to be a conservative offense, and that would be the thing that would worry me. Turnovers late. Listen, Caleb loves himself a turnover.
Definitely.
Strip sacks, turnover, like they'll be magic. I have no doubt it'll be so fun to watch. As a sports fan, I am so happy for how excited like Chicago is. Like they're so beaten down. Bears fans. The draft and picking Trubisky ahead of like Watson and Mahomes. You got to live. This is their chance to move past it and to start their new era. And to have my boy Keenan Allen helping along the way, invaluable. They need a little 3rd and 5 for a first down. Keenan's going to do it. Keenan's going to do it just with his feet wide open, pitch and catch. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just so tortured by this league to think that it's just not that easy, right? Like it just won't be that easy. Something's going to happen, and they're 9-7. Like if I had to guess the record, 9-8. And the thing's 9.5, so I just say under.
Minnesota is the last team in this division. Their win total is 6.5, -142. The over. Sam Darnold is their starting quarterback. I don't know if that's worse than J.J. McCarthy year one, at least. It probably hurts his long-term development going forward, but we're living in the now with the Minnesota Vikings. I really wanted to say over. I guess my issue now is with Darnold playing quarterback, their defense isn't very good. And then you have Mr. Turnover himself that even in close games, he's going to throw you out of it. So I'm actually going to pivot here and go under on the Vikings.
Slight over. 8 wins. I think they get there. I think Darnold is actually going to play. This is his last chance. I actually think he, being in San Francisco for the year was probably absolutely fantastic for his development. And so I'm going to bank on that coach knowing how to coach a quarterback like Sam, I still think they have some good pieces. That team was a good team last year before Cousins got hurt and then things spiraled. And then they sort of had a crack at the playoffs till late in the year and then lost a couple of big games. Now, there's a talented infrastructure in Minnesota. They just don't seem to have enough in such a difficult division. I think they're just lacking one or two crucial pieces. And so, anyway, long story short, I think they're an 8-9 team. Of the 4 teams, I think they have the lowest ceiling. I don't think this is a team that could win 11 or 12 games, but I think their floor is no lower than anybody else's. So 8-9, I think they have a talented enough coach and infrastructure that they should be able to get through this. Similar to how like Cincinnati last year didn't have everything working for them, but they have a good enough infrastructure that they got to 8 or 9 wins. I see the Vikings the same way.
I could see it. I just don't. Darnold winning 7 games, Geoff, I just don't see it. But
I mean,
it
I'm
could
going to
happen.
pick. I just feel very similar to Tim. I actually think they'll be fine with Darnold. I do believe in the coach. He signed Darnold on the first day of free agency. I just think he'll know what to do with them. It still gives me all the confidence in the world for Jefferson and fantasy, which is a separate conversation. But they lost like the only 2 guys on the team that like could breathe on a quarterback last year. In Hunter and can't pretend to remember the other guys' names. And I know they signed Van Ginkel from Miami, but I don't know that they've done enough to improve a pass rush that might have sucked. So that really does concern me. The defense pretty shit.
And the defense was like solid until they had their bye week, and then the end of the season they had that 3-0 game against the Raiders. Then they gave up 27, 30, 33, and 30 points to end the season. It just feels like they're closer to that defense than whatever they were midseason.
I mean, maybe. And, for all some controversy around the guy, Brian Flores, I think most would agree, is pretty solid defensive coordinator. So hopefully he can get them to play up. I'm not super confident about the ceiling, but like I'm such a sucker sometimes. I have stared at them. I went to look at what to make the playoff odds were after the injury because I don't think much changed. So I think you get a bit of a bump there a little, but I don't have the guts to bet it. But I will take over 6.5.
Right.
They will beat the Giants week 1. Could even be a super lock.
I don't hate that play at all.
I mean, the Giants might have the worst record in football.
On the road.
Revenge from when Daniel Jones went in there and beat them.
You're right. Yeah. Forgot about that. They're 13-4 seasons, and everyone bet them that day, the Giants that day, but me probably.
So I'm the only one on the under. You, Tim, and the coin all go over on the Minnesota Vikings. So let's pick our winner for the division. I got the Lions.
Packers.
Bears. There you go. Three separate picks. I'd like to see the Bears be good because for the past few years, Geoff, in the comment section and like tweets that I'll get, just angry Bears fans every time that you say like negative things about the Bears. I just want them to be happier. It'd be nice.
I'm there, and the vibes, like they're so excited. This guy, it's just like an iconic sports city, I guess, from when we were kids. And that whole Cubs thing was done with. I don't know. I'm excited. I hope they do great. I really do.
Paul?
Tortured legendary franchise. Go get it.
I feel like you guys should have some sort of season-long wager between the 3 of you on this.
Well, I would have to give odds.
You're all
because
picking.
I'm taking Detroit.
Oh, well, I mean, Tim doesn't want odds. Tim gives out way more egregious things there on the regular. I see your group chat.
We
threads
can
and stuff
see
like
our
that.
we can do our bets towards the end of the AFC show. We'll try to come up with something. Let's pick an NFC winner before we get out of here, though. Geoff, I'm going to tail you. Basically, I like Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, they're the only team that I've bet to win the Super Bowl from the NFC, so I don't really want to say anyone else. Philadelphia beats the Packers in the NFC title game.
And I have them over Detroit. So the team from that division. What do you have, Tim?
Bears over Eagles.
Bears over
Dude,
Eagles.
you're just killing Chicago.
You're really out. Jesus.
Holy shit. Tim watches one it was amazing. We all saw the plays. But dude, you're is this a bit?
No, I'm in. I was on the Lions last year. I mean, the Lions came within, one snap of getting to the Super Bowl. I have a tendency of usually making pretty decent Super Bowl and conference championship picks. I'm in on the Bears. And if I believe it, I got to follow what I believe.
Well, if you Bears fans out there are worried about the Bears being undercursed, you can send all of your hate to @TimAnderCust.
Tim and Gust.
It's not my name. So go ahead, send it to that Twitter account. I don't care.
I'm almost certain I saw the Bears are Vegas's biggest liability
Not surprising.
for Super Bowl.
Okay.
Jets Bears, eh, Tim?
I'm not so sure I'm going to take the Jets, actually.
Jets
So
Bears.
I'm not so sure I will. Aaron Rodgers has a history of being awful in the playoffs. So, maybe I very well may pick another team in the AFC to win or get to the Super Bowl.
Tim believes in the curse. This is what we're hearing.
No,
right now.
just I've seen enough. I've seen, Rodgers take teams that are 15-1 and then lose his first game in the playoffs. I've seen that stuff before. So getting to the playoffs and winning in the playoffs are two separate things.
Well, we'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience for part 1 of the win totals. This was the NFC. A week from today, the AFC win totals will come out, and then we'll record the win drafts with Cam, Rob, Tim, and Geoff like we did a year ago. Then boom, we're into week 1 content right away. So subscribe to Mayo Media Network. Subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you do it. And use code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy right now and get that deposit bonus of up to $1,000 and join, pre-register at least, for the Pick'em League on Underdog. The Google form is down in the description right now of the pod and video. I would recommend that you go do that right now, okay? Thank you all for watching. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience. Experience.